piecing is one of those techniques that I thoroughly enjoy, as do a lot of individuals. So what we're going to do is we're going to kind of play around with different options as far as feet go. The first thing that we always want to make sure is that we're still always on that straight stitch of that center needle position, and we have a stitch length of 2.5. So if I use the standard presser foot and use the outside edge, you can see on my sample here, to me that looks a little wider than 1/4 inch. And if I bring in my ruler and put it up against the edge, you can see it is much wider than 1/4 inch. So that really kind of isn't going to be, or really isn't going to be, an option for me. So what I did then was I tried to use the inside edge of that feed dog on the feed dogs on the right, and you can see I got a much skinnier seam allowance. So if you're going to use a 1/4 inch, the standard presser foot, what I would suggest using is, there are lots of different guides out there that you can actually put to the front of your machine to use those as ledges for that perfect 1/4 inch seam. But what I'm going to use, or what I'm going to show you, are 2 feet that I think are great. And these are optional feet. These are actually the 1/4 inch feet that are optional for this machine. And you can see in this case, this foot has a rail on it. And when I use the foot with the rail, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to line the edge of my fabric up against that rail. And when I sew, as long as the edge of my fabric is up against that rail, and again, I have that stitch set on A, which has a center needle position, then I'm going to have that 1/4 inch. So as I come to the end, I'm going to go ahead and take my fabric out from underneath my presser foot, and voila, this looks much more like a 1/4 inch seam to me. I think I'm a little bit happier with this, and if I go ahead here and I measure that, voila, how perfect is that? Now there's also another 1/4 inch foot. Remember I said this one has a rail, but there's going to be times where I really don't want to use that rail, or I might find that rail is not great for my site. So this is actually a similar foot, and this one, instead of having a rail, it has an indentation on that toe. This is the outside edge of my foot, and when I indent in, that's my 1/4 inch. So if I go ahead and place my fabric underneath the presser foot, use that toe right there for that 1/4 inch, and now I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to start to sew, and sew to the end. I'm going to take my one more stitch, take my needle out of the fabric. We're going to raise this. We're going to take a look at this stitch. And look at how beautiful that is. Same thing, same principle of that 1/4 inch. And voila, this one looks like I might bend. Nope, that looks pretty darn good. So I think it comes down to which foot you like better, whether you like the foot with the guide or the one without the guide. Either one is going to give you that great 1/4 inch. I actually suggest when you can, and if you can, of getting both feet, because I think they really do make a difference in your piecing. So you can see that piecing on the Baby Lock Zest is really pretty quick and easy, especially when you're using the optional 1/4 inch feet that you have available to you.